I'm Emily Van Diemender Young. I am the Director of Strategic Partnerships for Tripleseat. We really wanted to get together and chat today because we often get asked and questioned by the industry if we can be an all-in-one solution for your needs. And if not, why not? Why do we partner instead of integrate and building that additional functionality for an all-in-one solution? Please raise your hand if you have ever thought that or even asked us that before. Okay, great. You're in the right place. If you've ever also thought about that and not raise your hand, you're in the right place. I wanted to give you guys a quick analogy. So most of you have your customers come to you and say, great, we want to host with you. You're most likely taking care of my food and beverage, but can you also manage my floral for me? Can you also take care of my entertainment for me? Can you be my photographer? And what do you say? Oh, let me introduce you to these wonderful vendors that I work with that I would love for you to meet. That's exactly what I want to say to you and introduce you to our partners, because we really are the best in breed for what we do, which is why we partner with the best in breed as well to give you the same experience that you're trying to give your customers. So today we're excited to chat about how an integrated tech stack can simplify your life. I am joined by our amazing partners, PeopleVine, GoTab, and Mews. Sorry, I should have switched our slide earlier. Who we work with to help make that happen. So let's meet our panel. Which is why we start with Mo.
How you all doing this morning? I was gonna say afternoon, but it's really morning still, right? How we all doing this afternoon? / morning. All right, cool. Well, my name is Mobolaji Akintunde. Can everybody hear me okay? Cool. Mobolaji Akintunde. My friends call me Mobi, so if you see me down the hallway, hey Mobi, that's cool. Global head of revenue at PeopleVine. PeopleVine is a membership CRM platform, so we work with the likes of private clubs, hotels, luxury residential, and then restaurant groups that are really looking at building community and understanding who their members and guests are. And so that's just a little bit about us. We're based in Chicago. We have another office in London, and we're just global. And we want to talk to anybody that's interested in memberships. So,
I'm Tim McLaughlin. I founded GoTab now 9 years ago. We did not start as a POS, but most people unfortunately call us a POS. We work in all kinds of venues. The reason we partnered with Tripleseat, just quick story, my wife owns 2 brewery restaurants and she loves Tripleseat, but she's like, man, can I get Tripleseat to integrate with my accounting and my inventory? And fortunately, she uses GoTab. So we actually reached out to Tripleseat, established the partnership, and we're the only POS that actually integrates with Tripleseat for that purpose. In fact, we integrate with them and we integrate with these guys, or we're going to. We're very big on finding the best of breed partners to solve particular problems. And one thing I'll say about GoTab is you'll see it in all kinds of permutations. It might look like a wristband food hall. It might look like a takeout catering solution. It's kind of hard to identify because it's not just a thing on a counter. So it's unusual in how it manifests. But with that, I'll pass it on.
Hi everyone, Carson Forster, Senior Sales Director with Mews. We are essentially, our core is a property management system. Got some bells and whistles beyond the property management system, but at the end of the day, we're a PMS system, mainly for hotel groups, management companies, independent boutique hotels, and also for like a growing number of businesses where maybe the focus is more of an event venue, but maybe they've also got like overnight sleeping accommodations as part of their offering. So about 12,000 customers globally. And we integrate with Tripleseat, GoTab, PeopleVine, everyone up here. I think we really focus sharing more about the kind of the best of breed comment. I think it's important we kind of stay in our lane. Kind of here's what we do best, and then here's where we rely on partners on what they can, the value that they can add depending on the type of customers we're working with.
Awesome. Well, that's exactly where I want to start. Is what does a successful partnership look like to your company, and how have we seen that play out with the other panelists here as well as other companies that you partner and integrate with?
You want to pick it up? kick it off.
Yeah, I think we're always looking for, there's a lot of older systems out there. There's a lot of legacy systems that carry a lot of technical debt. And I think with more future, newer systems, it's easier to integrate with. And I think that's we share that philosophy with all the partners that are up here today with me. And just having Mews has an open API, so essentially in non-technical speak, that's basically the ability to, connect any data point with a part, like if GoTab, for example, is able to collect guest preference information or profile information, being able to easily send that back to Mews, and by being kind of more future-thinking systems, there's not a lot of fail points and middleware that you might need to jump through for older legacy technology out there.
I'll pile on to that. Open APIs, everybody should demand them. It's really kind of the requirement for this day and age. We integrate with over 200 different products and platforms at this point, and everything's based on, actually, here's a quick measure. I was on a panel with PAR, they own a bunch of QSR, with the CEO, and he was saying how open they were. And I said, Savneet, so where's your documentation? And he said, well, you have to get a key and sign a contract. So if you have to get a key and sign a contract, it's not open, by the way. But anyway, open data, we are now exposing everything in a data warehouse. We're just huge on making sure we're servicing our client, which is you, which means we don't lock stuff up and we integrate with as many partners as you ask. So the way we do it, I guess, just very quickly, is we usually find the partner company and then a mutual client, and then we will work through, like, what does that client need? How can we both fulfill that? Which part is best? Because there's a little bit of overlap, Who can solve that problem? What does the client want? And kind of work through those details.
Absolutely. So at PeopleVine, we like to focus on what we do best, right? And that's helping operators really manage the membership subscription side of their wellness club or their spa club, or even their loyalty program. But we get that, there are other players involved, like the POS system, like the PMS system, like the event management system, like the spa system. But we want to say we focus on what we do best, and then we lean on the partners that do what they do best, right? The way the spaces that we generally go in, if you think about it, are spaces that have multiple businesses under one roof. Can you imagine the complexity of that? And so therefore, you need technology that's fit for purpose for each of those different departments, if you will, right? And for us to come in here in 2025 and say we can do it all, there's going to be some level of it which we're not going to do well, right? So we know our lane, and we strongly believe in staying in our lane, but then partnering with the right type of people that are also strong and masterful in their lane. And when we look at integrations and when we look at partnership, we're not just looking at the technology integration about it, although that is important for you all, right? You want to know who your customer is as they move through your spaces, but we're also looking at team alignment. Right? Do we have shared beliefs, shared philosophies? Are we moving in the right direction? Right? And so far, all the partners that we work with up here, we all have the same type of belief. We believe in making sure that the operator is serving an elevated experience for their customer. Right? So we're here in service of you, because we know that it doesn't matter if you're not getting the benefits of what we have to offer. Right? But in the process, we're also sharing amongst ourselves, like, hey, customers need this, customers need that. From a POS standpoint, I got a chance to talk with Tim last night and just let him know about a mutual client in Chicago that's like, hey, I need to understand who my customer is from a restaurant perspective across all the systems. So PeopleVine, we want to go with you, but we need you connected with them in order to make it work. And I'm like, say less. Let's make it happen, right? So and it's the same thing with Carson and Mews. And so that's how it's always you all first, as he said. It's this triangular effect, but it really is pushed by the customer. So we're listening to the customer and saying, okay, how do we make this partnership happen? And there's definitely things that we got to go through to make it happen, but that's where it starts.
And listening to the customer is actually where I want to go next with you guys. But as Tim Thank you, Mo. As Tim had mentioned about an open API, I'm sure you all have heard that response from us multiple times. If you've asked us, do you integrate with this company? Do you integrate with that company? I didn't see them. Your sales manager, your account manager is most likely saying to you, well, we have an open API. So if they would like to write to us, understanding that's it for a long time, it was above my head about what that meant, but that might be the response because we want to be the problem solvers and help create those solutions for you. But this is why we have created the partnerships and relationships with the companies that we have, because we feel like we so strongly align and connect. So we most likely have a partner that can also solve that need for you instead of having to go through the process of you asking somebody else to write to the API.
Absolutely. Can I say something about that?
Yeah, of course.
It's so funny, like the way I've seen technology kind of manifest itself is that we are now consultants, if you will, right? Mm-hmm. So we're not just about, like sometimes we may not have the immediate answer, but we have friends that have the answer, right? Because we just want to provide value. And ultimately, selfishly speaking, we want to make sure that you continue to buy from us or hang out with us if we're subscription platforms, right? Let's just think about it practically, right? If you meet friends and you're like, hey, we're friends, but then I'm looking for a particular type help in a particular way, and they're like, oh, I know somebody. And it's the same kind of concept here. It's like, we know the right type of people to get the job done for you. And sometimes it may even be like, hey, you know what? PeopleVine is not the right fit. For what you're looking for, you should definitely talk to Mews.
Yep.
Matter of fact, let me introduce you to Carson. Like, again, it's because it's about the people, right? Hospitality is the people. So we got to get people centered first.
So then, Mo, you had just said about listening to our customers. So how do you gather, we're going to kind of chat about the roadmap, which you guys have heard probably a lot and will continue to hear, but how do we gather feedback from our users and how does that shape your roadmap, especially when collaborating with partner platforms?
You want me to pick that up? Or?
Go for it. You can start. I'll follow up.
What's cool about that is GoTab and PeopleVine are actually on that road right now. So how I heard about GoTab, to give you some background, is there's a property in Chicago, a strong hospitality group. I don't even know how many doors do they even have? Like
13,
14 doors. So they're considerable, right? And they have a new membership club that they're sparking up. And so, you know, in having a conversation with them to identify, you know, where do they really need our product, you know, GoTab came up. And they were like, oh, okay, I'm familiar with GoTab, but, you know, as Mo, I'm familiar with GoTab, but tell me, what exactly are you looking for in that integration? Because we're open, let's figure it out. And immediately they were like, well, if it's GoTab or nothing. You know, we don't need those other POSs. GoTab, and I'm like, okay, I really need to know what GoTab is, because if it's like that, like, okay. Yeah. So, you know, we started doing our due diligence. Typically how I would start is my head of partnerships and my head of integrations, we'd all meet together and say, okay, what's the opportunity available in this partnership? Both from a people standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, and then from an integration standpoint. And then we get on a call with his people, and then we start to understand, okay, where are your edges? How do you work? What does your distribution look like? Right? Because it's still economics at the end of the day as well. So how many clients do you have? Where could we really start to make an impact, right? And make it easy for our customers and for their customers. Because again, we stand philosophically, we stand at elevating the member experience. If it doesn't elevate the member experience and make it easy, then I can't really stand for it. So that's generally how it will start. And then when you start to think about the roadmap, so now we understand that this client needs an integration with the POS system, GoTab, then we start to say, okay, where can we slot the work in on a 365-day calendar? Because we're doing so much. And you'll hear from them, we're always doing so much, right? Because you got customers from all over, all different types of edge cases, right? So we want to figure out what is the streamline, the way at least PeopleVine does, is like we'll take it from a layer to layer perspective. So we say, okay, what's the first easiest part of this integration and partnership that will make the biggest impact, right? Then it's like, okay, how do we start to then meet this edge cases? There may be certain fundamental use cases, or you need the technology to do a specific job that we may not do in the beginning, but over time we'll get there. We want to cover as much land as possible.
I'll add one thing. I'm actually going to take it out of this room a little bit. We unwittingly stumbled into a partnership with like many of them actually, like you just described, with self-service pour walls. If you've ever seen these systems with RFID, so we had a food hall. We have some really unique technology in food halls, particularly where you have multiple vendors, one payment across multiple businesses, and they have this massive pour wall. Turns out they pour 200 kegs a week out of this food hall on these tap systems. And so we got forced into a partnership in a similar fashion. And it's been one of the most fruitful partnerships for both our clients as well as for us and the pour systems, because they were running all these separate systems. It was a pain point for everybody. Now we have 9 equivalent partners. I didn't mean to. They all called us after we solved it.
I did it.
And I won't say they're all equivalent, just to your point, like they're each a little different. And if someone calls us and says, hey, I need a pour wall system, we're going to say, well, okay, well, how big? How complicated? Do you need this? Do you need that? Okay, you should talk to these 3, right? So we're all a little bit consultants. I don't want to say they're all equal because I actually don't think that's helpful to the client. So it's in my mind, it's a perfect example. Like, we're listening to our client, we're trying to solve their problems, we're trying to fill the gap. And the reality is, like, everybody, this is why I have a big issue with the all-in-one solutions. They're often not filling the gap, they're often trying to expand their revenue, right? So they're trying to sell you the next half-baked product. Not going to name names, but that's common. We look at it and say, okay, where, Tripleseat does a great job. We don't need to do what they do. How do we fill that gap? In our case, it's inventory and accounting. That's a massive gap between the POS, the accounting system, and GoTab. So instead of redoing their business, which other companies have tried to do, we try to listen to you and let that drive.
Yeah, and I don't think, like, a partnership continues to be iterative. You continue to build on it. It's not set it and here it is and that's done. I think, like, POS is a great example where, in the Mews marketplace, we've got a couple dozen POS partners. I think the basic functionality, a guest comes into a hotel, they need to be able to charge their restaurant bill, their bar bill, whatever, back to their invoice in the PMS system. That's kind of table stakes now. I think, beyond that now, and this is where we've taken feedback from our customers and partners, that's going to make the guest happy. You've fulfilled the guest experience so they can charge their bill to their account, move on. But now the financial controller the next day wants to see what was all my revenue yesterday, what was all my revenue last week, last month. And if I don't charge to my room, if I want to pay credit card or cash at the outlet, not everything's all in one place typically. So with our integration, more advanced POS integrations, we can do that revenue sync. So now the financial controller's happy because all the revenue from the outlets, from the room side, is all in one place at the end of the day. So just because somebody says, yes, we integrate with this person, you really need to dig deeper and see to what level to make sure everybody's going to be happy internally.
Yeah, I couldn't say more. I mean, you're dead on. There's a lot of paper-thin integrations out there that you have to scratch and go, so what do you mean by integration? Right.
And I do think that when we look at a roadmap and as we listen to you and what you need from us, it becomes what's on the roadmap for our own product, what's on the roadmap for new partnerships and integrations that we hear that you need and want, but it's also what's on the roadmap for enhancing the integrations and partnerships that we currently have. And that is, again, it kind of brings it back to why we choose the partners that we choose, because we hear you when maybe an integration could use some additional functionality, or based on your usage, you're kind of telling us, oh, well, actually, as much as I love this integration, it could be this much better. And so that needs to be slated into the roadmap too. So it's not always a new partnership. It's really making sure that we're continuing to elevate the existing integrations and partnerships that we have, which is continuous.
Can I? Actually, I want to say real quick what we're doing. I'm super excited about what we're doing at Tripleseat. So we're making it so it's one button you press, it creates the tab in the POS, it pulls the line items out of Tripleseat, so it depletes your inventory appropriately. It takes the deposit, pulls that in as well. So basically the server just goes in, grabs a Tripleseat, contract more or less, surfaced in the POS, and it's all one button, one touch, like beautiful. Right now, it's not quite as slimline. It does all that, but it's 2 steps, and we're trying to get it to 1 step. So that's our version 2. But yeah, to your point, it's not like we're just going to move on. We want to actually improve the product so that the servers don't have to stumble and they go, oh, I need to pull the deposit and apply that to the tab. So I think there's always room for improvement if people want to do it well.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
And is it fair to say also that, just kind of give the balance, and not to be a Debbie Downer here, but not all requests are going to get met.
That's true,
right?
too.
Just the reality of it, like, you know, and there's really like there's a flow, and I'll speak for PeopleVine, but I'm pretty sure you guys kind of go through it as well. It's usually how many customers are asking for the same thing, right? Inside of what they're asking, how do we see that elevating the product? So maybe you may not have a lot of customers, but what you're asking is like, that actually makes sense to advance the experience. And we know that once we have it, we could either resell it, or we know other people are gonna ask, and then we have it available, right? So that's another measure. And then other times it's just like, you know what, while it is great for just you, we don't really see the use case expansive. So unfortunately, we may not be. But generally where Mo likes to take it is, well, let me see if there are other companies out there that could support that, right? And hey, I'll give it away, even if it's not just my partners. It's like, hey, I found this online, this may be useful, you should go and try that, you know? So I just want to make sure that that's clear. We don't do all feature requests.
Yeah. And sometimes I think that when we are working on enhancements or new things, it can get frustrating from your perspective, that if you had asked for something and someone from our side is telling you, oh, we're having that conversation and that's coming, and then it's 3 months and then 6 months, and we're like, we're sorry, the roadmap changed. It's because something that we saw as a value to more users or for the product might have just kind of jumped in line for that project and needed to take precedence.
Yep, we're constantly looking at the culture, right? How are people moving? And we got to kind of move with how the people are moving, because you all are doing the same thing. Your customers are coming for a particular dish, or they're coming for a particular ambiance. But when, you know, the whole thing in the zeitgeist right now is wellness. Wellness is what's hot right now. So we got to be listening, okay, well, we know more clubs are opening up with, you know, hyperbaric chambers and IV drips and spa. And so we're leaning into that right now, because that's just where the energy is, you know?
They're coming for your events. Hyperbaric chamber. Okay, well, we definitely want to make sure to leave some time for questions, but I thought since we are in a room of event professionals, I wanted to ask this group, if you could build your dream tech stack for an event venue using any combination of partners, what would that look like? And in that same vein, if you were an event, what type of event would your company be? So would you be a business conference? Would you be a concert? Would you be a pop-up dinner?
That's cool.
What would your event be for your company?
I'll let you take that one.
So I'll go with
I'll
go with the unconventional one. As I mentioned, we worked in a lot of unusual places, and the venue we got dragged into Poor Walls with kind of opened my eyes to some really neat operating models. There's a place in Minneapolis called Malcolm Yards. If you happen to have been there, it's pretty neat. It's all RFID driven. People love it. They make a ton of money. and they run multiple events simultaneously, which is, I think it's neat when you can start leveraging spaces in unusual ways. Of course, everybody's been to a wedding and you know, standard closed box. But I love experiences where payment disappears, and that's one of the things that happens there. You walk in, the tabs open at the beginning, and everybody just walks out from there. I love the fact that nobody's having to pull out their phone to pay or pull out their wallet or really to just kind of, it's like a kid in a candy store experience. I think that's really neat. I'm not saying there's not a lot of other there's amazing venues, but I just find that model really exciting. And we work in a lot of food halls. Not all food halls are as creative in terms of how they establish the experience. And I love it, and the customers do too.
Yeah, you mentioned a little bit about like payments disappearing, and that got me thinking about like one of our philosophies is really like user disengagement, where even stepping back from like hotel tech and events tech, just in like your personal lives, you're on social media platforms, you're on e-commerce platforms, and like their whole goal is to like keep your attention on your phone for as long as they can have you. And we're really the opposite. We want a world without screens, or a world where we can minimize the number of screens you have, and instead just being able to send, a VIP check-in sends a push notification to this group that needs to know about it, or there's, something's wrong with an accounting bill, sending notifications to the right people at the right time, not having to have them dig through reports and try to find out the actionable task on their own. So kind of aligned with what you said there, just on user disengagement.
Yeah.
And if PeopleVine was an event, I'd like to say we'd be a curated members-only salon, right? So very exclusive, high touch. Everybody knows everybody in the room. Community-oriented. Probably very sexy space, right? Like that's the kind of vibe I think our platform would be.
Yeah.
If we were an event.
Yes. I can see that about you.
We're definitely not as cool as they are.
I didn't finish the last question, I just realized. But the last part of that, I think just as far as an event, I think we would just be a good old-fashioned open bar, because just the concept of open, and our whole company is all about transparency. If there's an issue with their system, we have a 99.9% uptime, so there's rarely an issue. But if there is, we're transparent about what went wrong, what happened, and just the openness. So kind of tied that with the open bar theme.
I love it. Yeah, you absolutely would be.
I can see that too.
Well, we are so thrilled that you all came to chat with us today, and wanted to put it out there. If we have any questions that anyone has, we are here to be able to assist. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm Erica. I am the catering director over at Mews in Texas. Very familiar with the community, and not necessarily questions, but a big thank you to those of us bartenders and culinarians who just are tech savvy. Appreciate it. It's very, very user-friendly for the audience that it is. My question is just, where do you see AI going in the future, next year or two?
That is an amazing question, and we have two amazing AI partners that are in our community over where lunch is, and there's a couple of AI panels coming up. Not that I don't want this group to be able to answer that, but I have two AI partners that I know would love to talk to you about that more, unless you guys have.
I'm happy to talk about, but we could probably spend another hour on this.
But I want you to go over and see Slang, which is a new AI partner of ours that is launching their integration here any minute, and I promise you it's not getting pushed back 10 times. And AdSalt is also one of our partners, so both of them are amazing resources. I'm so thrilled to be partnered with both of them. Yeah.
Hey, thanks guys for your time. My question is about, the breakout politics stack. And one of my worries as we continue to invest more and more in different platforms is what I call like the Jenga effect. I mean, we're a small company, and the more I put and invest into these different layers that build on each other, the more I get anxious that one of them doesn't work out. What are the risks? So sometimes I find myself buying into the big dogs half-baked idea because it's just easier. What's like the risk and reward from y'all's point of view as far as like, yeah, it's a good time to do that until X, or like, here are the benefits of just really getting the best one now?
I've got to answer. So I used to do consulting before I did this. And I think always ask yourself, like, what is your core business? If your core business is operating a standard restaurant and 10% event revenue, buy Tripleseat, don't talk to me. And if you, depending on what you do, that's where, if it becomes a bigger portion of your business, then that's when you should invest more in the infrastructure. Obviously, you're right about Jenga, though. You start getting beyond 3, maybe 5-ish tech, it's going to start collapsing under its own, complexity. And then someone quits, and you're really up a creek, right? So, I would generally, personally, even if I look at our own technology, we really try to keep it sub 5 pieces, and we're a tech company. right? We were talking last night about CRM technology, and unless it's core to your business, I wouldn't pull the trigger on adding another technology. That's like the simplest way I can say it.
Yeah, if you can do a manual, sometimes it's best to start manual just to understand what is that data that you need, right? When you start to see that maybe throwing bodies at it costs more than paying a membership, a subscription, then you can start to see like, okay, maybe we should now go ahead and invest in the technology for that specific bit.
Yeah, the one thing I would add is always be shopping.
Yeah.
Yeah, use Google Sheets as long as you can.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, but always be evaluating, because then you can know what you don't know, which is really important. Like that's the biggest thing I see. People don't keep looking at solutions.
I don't want to keep you guys from your break, but if anyone had additional questions, I think I saw a couple hands over here, please come up and see us. We can stay in here for a few more minutes to chat, but thank you all so much for joining us. We were thrilled to have you, and enjoy the rest of EventCamp.